Hey guys, Linda here. In this video, I wanted to share with you how to get on the same page as your spouse when it comes to your move abroad. And if you are moving with a family and a spouse, it gets a little trickier because you are two different people and you probably want different things, which was the case or is the case with me and my husband. And so I wanted to share a little advice on how you can navigate that whole process. So one thing you have to know is that this whole move abroad didn't just happen overnight. It actually was something that my husband wanted to do before. So when we got married, even before we got married, that's something that he always talked about. I personally had no intentions on moving back to his country or my country or anywhere in the continent, right? So for me, it was okay, we're staying here in the US. That's the reason why I came here for school and all of that. So why would I go anywhere else? But I knew that that's something that he wanted. So in the back of my mind, and actually openly we would say, okay, one day, at some point. And for me, that one day was more like, okay, when we retire, right? And so we got married, got kids, started working, all of that. And we never really talked about it. We never really talked about going back to Cameroon, which is his country of origin. And so it was more like in me, so I always knew that he kind of wanted to, but you know how life goes, you get busy with things and you start projects and you start working and you know, life is big, you live a good life here and all of that, right? So for me, this want or this need, I would say, to go back to the continent, probably, I don't remember if there's a specific time when it got started. I think it was just a few elements here and there. And with this whole pandemic and the whole, race discussions and all of that, it really accelerated that feeling in me that, going somewhere else really is something that I really want to do. Actually, before that, because the pandemic basically was a way to show to my husband that he actually could do his work from anywhere in the world. I remember that because I was telling him before the pandemic, hey, what if we were to move somewhere else? And he was like, oh yeah, I need to see clients face to face and all of that. But now he doesn't really have to. So the pandemic actually proved him that he could basically do that anywhere. And for me, I do my work online anyway, so I can do it from anywhere. So the whole pandemic and all of that just accelerated the process in me. So there are three tips, I guess, three things or advice that I can share with you if you're in that situation where maybe your spouse is not on board, or maybe your spouse wants to go somewhere and you're like, I don't think so. So the first thing to do is really to communicate. Communicate, because what I want is not necessarily what he wants. What he wants is not necessarily what I want, but I can't know what he wants and he cannot know what I want if we don't share that. So it's very, very important to share exactly what your vision is. So making sure that, okay, you'd say it's not like, it doesn't have to be a whole secret, your husband and wife, right? So it's your spouse, you're supposed to be sharing everything. So telling them what your vision is and why it's important for you and how that's going to work and why it's important for you. That's the first thing, communicate. So not just one time, because what we spoke about 12 years ago when we first met, it's not the same vision that we have now. So constantly communicate and talk about how things are evolving in your mind, how things are, like how the vision is evolving for you. So communication, really, really important to communicate, not to be like nagging, like every day, oh, we have to go, but more like, oh, you know what, that reminded me of this, or when we do this here, that will remind that, like when we do certain things, like, oh, I'm looking forward to moving there because there we'll do things differently, so on and so forth, right? So one, communicate. Two, listen, because it goes hand in hand, right? Because it's important to share your vision, but you also have to listen to the vision of your spouse. Listen to their vision, their fears, their needs. What are the things, the requirements that are important for them? So my requirements, I think I'm more of a YOLO person and he's more of the responsible in the relationship. So I have to pay attention to his requirement, because I have to make sure that those are covered before we can actually make the move, right? Because he's, you know, there are things that he wants, just like there are things that I want. So he's listening to those of my needs as well, right? So making sure that you listen. Sometimes it's not laid out plainly, and so you have to look at the clues here and there and really communicate and trying to understand, okay, when you say that, what do you really mean? So would that be okay? Or how much of that does it mean when it comes to money? Let's say you want to make that amount of money. Is it that you want to have that money saved? Is it that you want to make that money regardless of what we're doing over there? Is it that you want to make that money with the activities that we do over there? Like really understanding in details what that person is saying to you, what your partner is telling you, okay? So that's number 2, to listen. Number 3 is to be patient. This is, I mean, when you think about people who move abroad, it's rarely something that they just do overnight like that, right? So you have to be patient because it's not just you. It's you, your partner, kids, maybe depending on their age as well. So there are different factors there, and not everybody's going to be on board on the same page as you at all times. So like I said, had my husband said 10 years ago, okay, let's just move, I would have said no, because, you know, I wasn't ready for that. Then that wasn't in my mind. But today we're both on the same page of, yes, we want to move, but our criteria are a little different, right? First of all, we have to agree on the country. That's the big thing too, like agreeing on where to go and agreeing on what needs to be done before we head out, okay? There are things that we agreed on already for, like schooling, for example, for the kids, where we're going to put the kids, what kind of schools, language, things like that, where we would live in terms of accommodation, things that we already agreed on, but there are other things that we still need to agree on, and that take time, okay? So patience, patience, patience. Your timing is not necessarily your spouse's timing, and you have to respect that, just like they can't expect their timing to be your timing, okay? So I hope that helps. I'm sharing more details as I know them. So again, we are not set on the country yet, but we're making progress. We're making progress on the communication. We're making progress on preparing, really. Like, I think that the mental part, I think that we've done it because we are actively doing things that that will enable that process, like getting the house ready. Okay, how would the market look like? Are we leasing the house? Okay, doing an inventory inside of the house of what needs to get done. Like, okay, do we need to replace the carpet? Do we need to repaint? Do we need to do this? Do we need to do that? The hiring our realtor as well, and talking to her about the market and how much can we rent the house for. All of these things that we're doing in preparation already. So no, we don't buy the plane tickets yet. No, we don't have a date yet. No, we don't have the country yet. But there are things that you can actually do right now to get the process started. So hope that helps. Let me know in the comments if you are also in conversation with your partner, with your spouse on your move abroad and how that is going for you. Until next time.